Okay, we're ready for week 9 of the Sales Cloud Consultant Study Group. This is Terry with Terry's Tidbits. If you're following this series, I hope that it's helping you as you study and prepare for your next certification. This particular week, we are talking about sales productivity and integration. So we hit things like email productivity collaboration tools. We also have another set of questions that we go through to practice the process of answering questions, thinking through them. And so this is week number 9. There's just a few left. So enjoy this video. We have 2 presentations for the sales consultant exam today. And Carolyn and Conley are our presenters. This is all about sales productivity and integration. So Carolyn, take it away.
Okay, please first bear with me for my technical skills or lack thereof in PowerPoint presentation. Nope. I guess I need to share my screen first, sorry.
I was going to say Meredith could probably help you with that if you needed help. She'll take it.
All right. So I did this wrong last time too, because you're seeing my view, right?
Oh, it looks good.
Oh, okay. Yay. Okay. As Terry mentioned, I have Salesforce email productivity tools. I found this to be, I don't know that elementary is the right word, but this is something that, it's sort of, we all already know. There's only so many tools that Salesforce has. The ones very specifically that I'm going to be looking at are Gmail integration, Outlook integration, the Salesforce inbox, and Einstein activity capture. The thing I think I couldn't, again, find anything very specific to the Sales Cloud Consultant exam that had to do with this. So I just sort of went through some of the trailheads. And as you will see, a lot of this is taken very directly from the trailheads. But my guess is, and Terry, you can probably correct me if I'm wrong, Salesforce inbox probably would not be on the exam because it is an add-on. It's an additional price from Salesforce. So I don't know how often.
You'll want to know. I think you'll want to, you don't have to probably know the details of the tool, but know enough that it is a product and likely maybe even how it's maybe preferred over some of the free tools, what some of its key features.
Okay. So and I did not delve into, I'm sorry, what'd you say? What was the last thing you said?
No, it's probably just simple, basic core product knowledge is probably all you'd have to know.
Okay. I did not delve into anything on the App Exchange. I went with the out-of-the-box productivity based on what I said about inbox, but maybe I should have, now that I say that, gone a little bit deeper. Anyway, so those are the 4. As you would expect, they all have commonalities. They all increase productivity. That is the whole point of any of these. Any redundant work that you might have, then these kind of tie together. It's attempting to eliminate that because when you go into either your Gmail or your Outlook email platform, you will be able to see the stuff on the side. You will be able to see, accounts or contacts or whatever you choose to set up, and it keeps you from having to go back and forth between 2 tools. It does eliminate potential errors, again, based on not having to go back and forth between 2 tools. And the errors might be like a typo, like let's say you put in Bob Smith in one place and then you put in Rob Smith in the other. You can directly create records from the email platform, whether it be Outlook or Gmail, and you will have access to templates, which is very, very handy. Again, that kind of resolves your redundant work. You don't have to type the same thing over and over or copy and paste or whatever might be your preferred way of doing it. And again, as I mentioned, because you have the information directly in the same screen as your Outlook or Gmail, you can relate those records, you can tie them in, which, as we all know, is very, very handy. So I'm going to start with Gmail integration. And basically, you're going to see Gmail integration and Outlook integration are essentially the same. But what are the benefits? So you're going to see your relevant Salesforce content in the Gmail and in the calendar, which is sort of, we already discussed that. It is kind of nice that, your reps have a chance to see what's happening with all of their contacts, because it's going to put the activity in there. It's going to put, any related information for like if you send an email and you want to attach it to that record, anybody else that might need to have visibility into that record is going to be able to see that email exchange that you had with the client or potential client. And then, as we all know, the most important thing, quite frankly, in my opinion, about Salesforce is adoption. If you don't have anybody using it, what's the point of the tool? So then you're going to, you again can access your Salesforce features in Gmail and your Google Calendar. You have everything in the same place, which again goes back to the very heart of the matter of increasing productivity. And you can create records from the integrations, which is very handy. You don't have to jump back into Salesforce. And again, we can relate all of the email messages and calendar events to the contacts and to any record that you might wish. And you can search for those Salesforce records in the same spot. So we're going to go to Outlook integration. And everything I just said about Gmail integration, Outlook integration. I kind of want to say when I first got into Salesforce that one of them was not available as an integration. I think you had to have like an add-on tool. I don't recall which one that was, but now they are both available in your setup. So Salesforce Inbox, as I mentioned, it is a paid Salesforce feature. It basically is kind of one of those integrations on steroids. And it's probably a great thing for your reps or for your customers to have to suggest for them, because it can take the place of a Calendly tool, let's say, because you can show your availability in any email and it's dynamic. So if your calendar changes, even if you've sent the email, that will change with it. You can see if a customer has opened your email. You can see if they've checked or clicked on any of the links. And which is really, as a sales rep, really, really handy, because then you can time any kind of responses or follow-ups that you might have. As well as having email templates available, there are phrases that you can have available. Like if you're always like, it was great talking to you today, and you wanted that phrase in there, you could just type that as one of your phrases and then plop it into your email. And much like, say, Slack, if we wanted to send a message and we can do the timing, you can schedule the timing. You can type an email at your convenience and then send it at your client or potential client's convenience. And one of the nice things about this feature is there have been a lot of studies that have been done about the best time to send an email and when they're most likely to be read, or when people are most likely to click through the links. And so you can do a little bit of research onto what that might look like and send it at that time. And then Einstein Activity Capture, which is an out-of-the-box feature for, I believe, only certain editions. Excuse me for not knowing which ones. That is probably something we should need to know.
It's Essential, Professional, Enterprise, Performance, and Unlimited.
So that would be all of them, isn't it? Am I missing one? Essential, Professional, Unlimited, Enterprise.
I think there might be some lower level versions that the Salesforce for Outlook might include. Like Personal and Contact Manager. I'm not even sure what those versions even are.
Yeah.
But what I'm looking at indicates that's a version, evidently, or an edition.
Okay. Well, maybe that's some sort of weird free version. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. That's news to me.
Yeah, although is anything with Salesforce free, right. So let's go with no. That's not a free
version. It's probably rebranded something else. I don't know.
So the activity capture is, you can sync your contacts and events, and You can dynamically update your reps calendar. It has some of the features of the inbox, but the inbox, as I said, is kind of all of this sort of on steroids and can replace a couple of tools. When you get an email or if you send an email, it will automatically add it to the activity in that particular record. And then obviously you can go into your sharing settings and decide who gets to see that. It has Einstein email insights, so you can get some analysis as to what is the right time to send a response. If you see the example that Salesforce gives is, if rep sees an email, a rep can see when an email from a customer mentions a competitor, and then that way they can know that they need to jump in because they don't want anybody or any of their people talking to a competitor if they can avoid it. So again, this is all very kind of, like I said, elementary, because I expect we have all used the tools. And if you have admin experience, I don't know I don't recall what everybody's levels are, but hopefully you have turned on at least one of these features for your clients or for your company, because it's important that you are able to reduce some of that redundancy and have them just do it all in one place. So anyway, does anybody have any questions about my super fast breeze through email productivity tools?
I do have.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Miranda.
And forgive me if you said this and I didn't catch it. Can you use like Einstein activity capture if you're using like one of the other tools as well, or is it just one of the four?
You can use it with the Outlook or the Gmail integration, but you cannot. I believe Inbox would be. It sort of inherently has that capability anyway.
Yeah, I think the argument would be: is there a reason to
have both?
Yeah. I think it would probably cause confusion for users if you ended up having multiple solutions there. So I'd probably avoid it just from a practical nature.
Yeah, in the one of the last orgs I worked in, we had the Google integration and chose for that reason not to do the Einstein activity capture, because it essentially, from what I could gather when I was going through these, there's sort of a lot of redundancies with the tools too. Is that and I could be mistaken because I went through several different trailheads and some of them said one thing, some of them said others. But I believe the inbox feature of being able to send your calendar, I believe with the Google integration, if I'm not mistaken, there is a feature of that. And I could be saying completely wrong information, so I'm going to leave that out. But it just seemed like, to Terry's point, that really you wouldn't necessarily need both, Brenda.
I threw a link in the chat with some comparisons between Salesforce for Outlook and they call it next generation tools, which was Einstein. That may be helpful. And then Pearl, to your point of Salesforce for Outlook being retired in the spring 2024, you're 100% right. I still would anticipate or expect to see questions related to it on the exam. Until the exam is refreshed, it's still probably something that you need to have some awareness to. And then the other link there that I threw in, if you want to bring that one up, Carolyn. And maybe you already did.
Oh, whoops.
So there's a chart on here that does a comparison between Salesforce for Outlook and Einstein. And there's also right above there's a couple additional links that share some more info that learn about those may be helpful to you as well. I was trying to find something that had inbox on there, but I wasn't finding that. The one thing that that I have ran into with Einstein activity capture is that the data on that is hosted on AWS or Amazon Web Services. So there's some issues when it comes to reporting on activities related to emails, because that data technically isn't living inside your Salesforce org. There's an actual separate dashboard that is created to support the visibility to those activities. So that's something that you don't see a whole lot about. At least I haven't ran into it very often. But when from other consultants that I have talked to that have implemented it, that's one of the major things that they want to make sure clients understand, because it's not the data or your emails is not now in Salesforce. So if you did an activity report, it wouldn't show up there. So I don't have any direct experience with that. That was from other consultants that I've talked to about it. But that to me feels pretty limiting, or like a big hurdle. The fact that it's not all sitting in the same set of reports. So if you see something on that, kind of check that out a little bit closer. I'd love to learn more about what that is all about.
Yeah, that's kind of a big deal.
Yeah. Especially if you try to do things based off of activity counts. How many times did you touch a customer? Mm-hmm. Email kind of maybe counts as one of those. So anyway, look into that a little bit. Okay. Just so there's some awareness of that. Otherwise, I think that sounds reasonably good. It's from a consultant standpoint, it's at this point, and to Pearl's point, you probably wouldn't implement or recommend an implementation of Salesforce for Outlook or at this point. But honestly, I have customers now that are going third party because they don't want to deal with some of the limitations of Einstein activity capture. Nor do they want to give visibility to all their information that Einstein's going to read. So there's some privacy concerns that they had with that. Some interesting, I think it'll be fascinating as this kind of moves forward to see how it plays all out from a tool standpoint. Any questions related to those? I think the email tools are about as confusing as they can be. With all the changes, personally, with which ones to recommend, which ones not to. It feels like they just constantly are shifting. Conley, you good? You ready?
Yeah, sure. Share my screen. All right. Okay, everybody good? Can see?
Looks good.
Okay, awesome. All right, slight caveat with this. Other than we don't really use mobile, leverage it that much at our org. Of course, we have Chatter, but we don't really use it to collaborate, nor do we use Slack or Quip. So a lot of this stuff was new to me. We use Box and we use Workplace, and that's how we collaborate currently. But going through this gave me a lot of good ideas. So just to get into it, a lot of this is mobile app, and there's a lot of kind of overlap between mobile app and Chatter, but there's a section specific to Chatter a little bit later on. But since it's out of the box Salesforce, they're all kind of interconnected here. But with the Salesforce mobile app using productivity tools or collaboration, you can use it for approval requests, viewing, approving, rejecting. Use it for notes and tasks, creating those right from the navigation menu. And here's a Chatter feed. Gives you access to the Chatter feed for collaboration and tracking updates. Also, I guess a little bit later on offline access, there's a little bit of setup you have to do there. But you can have viewing, creating, editing, deleting, even when you're not online via mobile. And this is mobile. This is iOS, Android, tablet. It gives you access to the sales path. So if you want to see that path of opportunity and guide sales reps along, access to quick actions, you can, I guess, create quick actions specific for mobile to easily create or perform other sales related tasks that they need to do on the go. Navigation menu, access to various items for Salesforce records, and custom launchpad, Lightning Web component that can help you also access information more quickly. For the mobile app, main features, of course, the navigation menu gives you access to Salesforce objects. Data management, there's features such as conversion of leads, managing campaign members that are supported in the app. Of course, you can get access to reports and dashboards. You can view, filter, sort, and get, if you're on a dashboard, you can get access to the underlying data for that. I guess that report. And Chatter again, access to Chatter feeds, people and groups. Offline access again, as well, access to work on data, access to Salesforce communities via the Salesforce Plus tab or Salesforce tabs plus Visualforce template. It's supported. Access to Visualforce pages if they're made available. And if you are using territory management, you have access to the users and assigned territories related list, which you can view on account records. And this is just a point on what can you do to records in the Salesforce mobile app. You can access records. So you can view them. You can view the details, related lists, news, chatter on the record page. You have access to the activity timeline in mobile, both available on iOS and Android for the standard account or standard objects, accounts, leads, opportunities, contacts. You can view dashboards. You can view reports, and I guess an important call out here for report, it supports up to 8 key metrics in reports. So it's important limitation you might have to par those reports down to just the information that they need to see on mobile. And users in assigned territories to an account record can be viewed. Productivity features, you have access to Salesforce Today. Well, you can have access to Salesforce Today. You have access to notes, events, tasks, and email. There's a trailhead here that I've linked that is a pretty good trailhead on how to boost productivity with mobile. Some considerations and best practices. Well, sales reps can choose lead sources as well as prevent duplicates when converting leads into contacts or accounts or opportunities. Sorry, hold on. There's some Emily. Tabs. Administrators can create tabs specific for Visualforce pages, Lightning components to view in the mobile app. Navigation. The mobile-ready Visualforce page. So this is where you have to enable the available for Lightning experience, Lightning communities, and the mobile app to have access to the Visualforce pages on mobile. And dashboard component, like you can do in web, you can tap it and view its underlying source report. Sorry, Salesforce mobile app. Users can respond to approval requests in app or with push notifications. There are offline capabilities that we talked about through the caching feature that can be managed and set up for the Salesforce offline preferences. And the Today app can be made available. So that's something that's a kind of important note where you have to, even though it's there, you might have to enable it for iOS or Android. But that's nice because it consolidates a lot of information for the reps when they're on the go. So that is mobile app. Now we're going to move on to Chatter. And of course, Chatter is a Salesforce application that allows users to work together by talking to each other and sharing information in real time. So Chatter can allow you to engage and collaborate on sales opportunities. It can be accessed either on the full site or through mobile app. Chatter profiles, this is internal. So your Chatter profile can display certain work-related information about you or other users that you might need to look up. Chatter groups can be created to collaborate on a common goal or interest. And users can follow things. They can follow people, they can follow topics, files, and records, and get notification about those changes to that record. Chatter streams can be created to combine multiple feeds for people, groups, records into one, just to make it a little bit more handy. So you have to go to each feed and for that chatter information. Publisher actions such as post, poll, file, and question can be used. And post actions such as edit, delete, bookmark, etc., can be performed on a post. I believe most of these are out of the box with Chatter when it's enabled. You can mention users and groups, which is important to so you can target your communication with Chatter. Private messaging is important, as if you need to maybe have a confidential message that you might need to really restrict. You might, instead of mentioning or just putting it out in a Chatter feed, you'll want to private message. Chatter groups can be public, private, unlisted, or broadcast only. And customers can be invited to private or unlisted groups. Again, that's another note about following people, groups, and records to receive notifications. Some best practices. I guess probably the big one is to have a departmental strategy. So just don't enable Chatter, sit it out there, and expect your sales users or any users to just really understand how they can use it. So there might be a training component to this. There's probably some conversations with the executives or sales managers to say, hey, we have this tool, Chatter. Here's how we can use it. Is that something we want to roll into our sales process? So it's just have a strategy about how you want to use Chatter, I think is important. Private Chatter groups, so that you're not just blasting out information to the Chatterverse at large. So you can have a private group to really target what the sales team needs to talk about, either it's lead conversion or opportunity closing or whatever. Have specific private Chatter groups for those. You can use polls to get feedback for whatever information. An example here is on feedback for a new sales methodology, perhaps. Opportunity record feed. I guess here it's kind of a point where if you're going to have a conversation, if you're going to use Chatter and you can target that specific record, have that conversation in that records feed so that you're not, again, just putting Chatter out there to the Chatterverse and expecting it to be tied back to this opportunity. Utilizing dashboards. So this is kind of a funny one, I thought, where you can use Chatter to motivate sales users. Maybe you can have post a Chatter dashboard with top 10 sales, or the last one there is who made the fewest calls. So that's kind of funny where you're going to call people out on something like that, but it could be used to motivate. So I mean, the important thing is that you can chat out or post to Chatter metrics that are important to the team. And you can follow opportunities, kind of goes hand in hand with the opportunity record feed above, where if you want to get notifications on that records feed, if you're in the record feed and you follow it, you'll be able to post, target that opportunity, and get notifications when they arise. All right, and that's Chatter. Moving on. Moving on to Slack. So Slack is a messaging app that allows users to engage in conversations, find and share information, and collaborate with one another. So this is, you have to set it up. You have to get an account, you have to download it, and then you can sign into your Slack workspace. But the important thing here is you can have channels that are dedicated to start conversations about a project, a topic, a team, and you can also direct message each one or each other. Same here that you can do in Chatter. You can mention folks. You can use emojis and conversations. Files can be added, and Messages can be formatted to add clarity, so you can bold, highlight, add bullet lists to make that a little bit easier. And messages can be saved for later. Continuing on, channel can be created, and you can create a channel name. You can have a channel prefix, and you can add a description to let others know what the channel is about. Key information can be pinned to the channel, so people can easily reference it. Maybe how to use a channel, what it's for, and teammates can access workspace. Can be added to teammates can be added to the workspace by clicking in the top right corner. Again, I don't use Slack, so this is all new to me. You can star a channel or DM, so it takes us to the top of your sidebar. I guess also kind of important thing, there is a paid plan. So there are some extra features for channels and DMs if you do the paid option. Notification preferences can be customized, and a reminder can be set about important messages in the message options. So kind of three important parts for Slack, where there's a workspace, Slack messages, and Slack search. So users can post a message, share a file using the workspace. Messages can be edited, deleted, pinned to the channel, can also be used to remind about various options. You can format, emojis can be added. And Slack, it's kind of like Google, where you can have certain modifiers where you can search for from, probably create a date, other items you can search for in conversations for Slack. Moving on to Quip. So Quip is a productivity tool and collaboration platform that allows users to create and edit documents and spreadsheets as a group. So you can compose new documents, spreadsheets, a chat, or a new folder. Very similar here. You can mention images, live apps, people, names, and dates, and documents. In the conversation or comments and conversation page, you can have real-time conversations about those documents that are being edited. Quip supports live apps, so you can add a process bar, or you can use other live apps such as Project Tracker, Calendar, or Kanban. You can share folders or documents, and you can choose to receive desktop, mobile, or email notifications for those documents as they're updated. So more collaboration. So search, again, it's here. You can search by title or content of a document, data modified by filters, example, or you can use the advanced search to search for comments and conversations, or within those comments and conversations. Document can be added to favorites by starring it. And you can kind of nail down permissions at the individual user or folder level. And you can give full access, can edit, can comment, can view type of access. Quip for Sales Cloud can be accessed Sales Cloud and can use to collaborate on a document or access record. And I guess, and the important thing when you do, so this is App Exchange, like both Slack and Quip have App Exchange apps. And when you do install Quip, you get document and associated documents, really a list that you can add to your record page. Document is mainly used for master documents, supposed to be. Then associated documents is for the supplementary or supporting docs. The three types of doc formats you can use are documents, spreadsheets, and chat rooms. And you can nail down the editing control for those docs, the read-only, template, or freeform. And also this slide presentation is in our slides thing, so if you need to reference back to it. And rich content can be inserted into a document or spreadsheet. And live apps and with mentions, comments, and chats are also supported for real-time collaboration. Okay, So that's it for the kind of overview. And like I said, was a bigger topic than I thought it was, really. So this is just, dipping a toe into what you can do with mobile, Chatter, Quip, Slack. There's a whole lot more information out there. So moving on to use cases, I tried to have a couple of use cases for each one. Kind of give away the ghost here because this one's going to be, the answer is going to be mobile app. But the important thing is like how the scenario is structured. So if a sales representative is away from his desk and needs to view information about a related opportunity, well, they can use the mobile app to search for and access those opportunity records. If a sales director would like to help his sales representatives create child records that are automatically related to a master, well, you can do that. Maybe create a specific quick action for mobile that helps those representatives create whatever records, notes, tasks that they need to on the go. So that's for mobile. For Chatter, so your sales team would like to use Chatter in Salesforce and allow sales users to post progress, upload files, links to files stored in the ERP system, and ask questions, et cetera, et cetera. Well, Chatter can do all these. By default, when Chatter is enabled, you get standard actions like post, file, link, poll, question. So just by default enabling it, they give them access to do all of that, what they want to do. And scenario 2, your client uses Chatter for collaboration. The sales director of the company would like to engage with a manager and discuss a confidential matter related to a customer. Well, this is where you would want to use the private message to engage in that conversation, since it's confidential and you don't want to blast it out to everyone on Chatter. One for Slack, one for Quip. Well, the CEO of a startup has about 30 companies and would like to workspace that allows employees to engage in conversations with one another, share files, collaborate, etc. Well, Slack can be used for this requirement. It's a messaging app. It can be used, you can create a dedicated workspace, you can share files, send direct messages to one another. So that right there, Slack would meet that requirement. Scenario 2, your client is looking for a productivity tool in Salesforce that allows reps to collaborate on important documents that are shared by customers. They can be Word documents, Excel sheets, and sales reps should be able to edit, comment on the docs in real time. Well, you can do real time with other items we talked with in Quip and or Slack and Chatter, but I guess editing in real time Word documents and spreadsheets, this would be best utilized with Quip. And utilizing the 2 components for document and associated documents on the record page, you can get to those documents on the record page and not have to leave Salesforce. And I think, hopefully I didn't go too fast. Sorry if I did, guys. I hear a few resources. There's a couple good, there are the last 2 for trailheads for getting started with Slack and collaborating with Quip. And those first 2 are just link out to Salesforce help on a mobile app. And the second one is kind of interesting, where it kind of shows you the differences between iOS and Apple. So that's it.
Very good. Any questions on this? So Conley, if I wanted to collaborate around a record in Salesforce, which of those tools would be the right one? Or one would you recommend?
I would recommend Chatter, probably.
Okay, because
it's around the record and you're not, or it's record specific. You're not, didn't say that you were using a document or anything or sharing files, but it's around the record. So it's just easier out of the box functionality with Chatter.
Yes. And you've kind of sort of already answered this, but why not Slack?
Well, because if you're not sharing files, you don't need that functionality, I guess. But yeah, ChatterOS seem to achieve the same problem as Slack, and it's something that you don't have to install and maintain.
Yeah, Slack is a great collaboration tool. I use it personally in my own business, but it's not centered around a record in Salesforce, and that's the key piece. Key in my mind, that's the kind of the key difference between Chatter and Slack is that capability that Slack provides. Now, I'm sorry, I said the wrong word. That's the capability that Chatter provides that Slack does not. Slack, on the other hand, is a fantastic tool for all your other outside type collaboration, non-record specific type items. I had a conversation a couple of years ago with one of the designers at Salesforce, and they were talking. It was right after they had purchased Slack, and one of the questions that I asked him was, is the purchase of Slack basically put a tombstone on Chatter? And the answer was no, because, at least at that time. He said they internally they were still seeing them as two very distinct products, different capabilities, different use cases. So I thought that was kind of interesting. So at that point, they didn't anticipate modifying Slack to be record centric the way that Chatter is. I don't know if that's still the case, but it was kind of an interesting conversation. Other questions? Slack is more about communication, Pearl. Chatter is communication focused as well. Slack, you kind of sort of have different groups that they both have that. Slack calls it a channel versus a group. So they both kind of have that same type of capability. You can invite other people to a Chatter, to your Chatter feed, but then you don't have the security. It's just not record centric. And the communication is going to be specifically secured by the group that they're in. So yeah, I guess I like Slack just because it's more general. I can use it for anything even beyond the Salesforce world, where Chatter you're going into Salesforce and having to leverage it that way.
Terry, do you get confused by the different channels on Slack? I feel like I get hit from so many different people that maybe it's just my brain, but I can't figure out where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah,
is there a trick?
To me, it's kind of no different than when you roll out Chatter. If you don't do so with intention, it kind of becomes its own little organic mess.
Yeah,
that can be confusing. So, yeah.
Okay.
That's. I have had that. No, I have had that. The other one that I get so many Slack messages that sometimes I find it difficult to stay on top of them. Kind of like email. If you get 1,000 emails a day, it's like hard to keep up with it. But yeah, it has its own challenges. You do have the ability to bookmark things and set reminders in Slack, which is nice. As long as you remember to do it.
Okay, I probably just need to spend time with it.
All right, I want to steal the screen from you, Conley. Any other questions specifically around the tools? I want to cover, hopefully I'm on the right screen. You see how to build a sales process that lands deals? Is that what I'm sharing?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, cool. So I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago where I talked about sales processes, and I said it was really quite simple. There's not a lot to it. I wanted to expand a little bit on that because I think this article, and I did put it in our on our sheet as a resource. I would probably spend some time reading this because I think there's some really good concepts here that that you probably are going to want to understand related to sales processes. So, like, what is a sales process? A series of steps that moves a sales rep from product to market research through close and beyond. So that sounds an awful lot like stages. When you look at that, it includes 4 key areas: research, prospecting, sales calls and close, and relationship building. That is a sales process. Now, if we go down to sales methodology, which is another key term to know. All right, I'm going to use the link because I'm going to go right past it if I don't. So difference right here, this one. Difference between a sales process and sales methodology. Sales methodology is the how they do each step. Sales process is the what. And so some common sales methodologies is challenger sale, trigger-based, value-based selling, 360 selling. It's the how you go about your sales, or how you go about closing the deal. So 2 different terms there that you're probably going to want to be at least a little bit more familiar with than just how to implement a sales process in Salesforce, which is what I talked about when I did the off-the-cuff presentation. So I think this gives you a lot more insight. I think that would be helpful. I have actually found that there are, on this particular exam, I have found more helpful information in some of the articles that Salesforce has written than I have in just going to Salesforce's help documents. The help documents kind of tell you how to do something. It gives you kind of the rules around it. But this is a consultant exam. I think these articles really provide a lot of really nice insights that I suspect are going to be more important than the how. I certainly have to know the product and what it's capable of doing. You have to know it well enough to be able to make a recommendation or to know which product to implement, kind of like what we did there with those implementation tools that Conley had. Which one would you use for account-based communication? Those types of things as a consultant, that's important for you to understand and be able to communicate. Why did you go one direction versus another? On the email tools, why Einstein versus Inbox? Why are you recommending one versus the other? Those are conversations that as consultants we run into on a daily basis. And so understanding the product and some of the rules behind it and the terminology is going to be really, really important to us. All right. Let's hit a couple questions here before we go. And Earl, let's start off with you. And then Meredith, I'll hit you on the second one. And maybe we'll have time, Brenda, for you to hit one of these as well. Marketing is initiating a campaign using multiple types of channels. They need each channel to track ROI, and the VP of marketing also wants to see the return on investment for the entire campaign. Which declarative solution could be used?
A, reports, and then C, campaign hierarchy and hierarchy statistic fields.
Okay. Oops,
I can see E.
No, I didn't. Yeah, I noticed that too. I didn't have it down far enough. Sorry. Still like your answers?
Well, I still think A and C.
Okay. Any other thoughts on that?
I just go, usually I feel when it's come to sales, I just would use everything out of the box and not too complicated. So I eliminate B right away.
Yeah. And declarative. Yeah.
Mhm.
That eliminates B. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Awesome. Good job.
Thank you.
Meredith.
All right. As sales rep moves opportunities through the sales stages, the VP of sales would like to make key fields easily visible for staff to enter. He wants to provide guidance for each stage. What sales feature makes this possible?
I need to reword this question. Which one?
Path.
Path. Any other thoughts from the rest of the group?
Can you do guidance with just the path?
What do we think?
I don't know. That's why I'm asking.
Well,
I don't know.
Within Path, if you hit the little carrot icon, you can provide guidance. Like
I did not know that. Okay, that makes sense.
Shall we try it? Path it is. Very good. Very good. Brenda.
Okay. Universal Container's marketing department wants to better track their campaign ROI. They've asked the sales team to identify when a new opportunity is a result of one of their campaign efforts. However, they continue to struggle getting good data. What Salesforce feature could you implement that would help improve this problem? So they don't have great data, and they want to be able to better track. Okay. Ooh. Well, I would say I'm leaning toward E, but they continue to struggle getting good data. I'm still gonna go with E. But if anybody else has a better answer, it does not have to be my final. I mean, I see in the chat C, which would make sense with the validation rules, but I don't know that that's going to necessarily track, like to better track their campaign ROI. So I feel like
Sorry, I take it back.
Yeah,
oh, got it. Okay. Sounds good. I'm going to go with E, and I've got Meredith and Conley and Pearl, so I'm pretty confident. We're going to go with that's my final answer.
My final answer. All right. I'm not watching your chat, so that's all good. All right, Julie.
Shoes.com is an online business with over 1 million retail customers. They're evaluating the purchase of Salesforce to better track and market their B2C customer, which should be considered to simplify the requirement that a contact must have an account. Well, I'm going to I'm going to say A.
Okay.
I don't want to be the first one wrong, though. I don't like person accounts, but I'm going to choose it anyway.
I would agree with you, Julie.
Okay.
That doesn't mean that I wouldn't be any more confident just because I agree, but I agree.
All right, everybody, any other thoughts? We're good with that? Well done. Oh. Nicely done. All right.
I never get the questions right on the
We actually got 100% on all that today, so that's fantastic.